Okay.
popped up on my screen. So
She is, I guess.
And I'll make you a co-host now.
Sure.
You can.
Or if you can share the screen, like, that Excel sheet, that would be great.
I just, you've got it set up so you don't have co-hosts, so.
I think I just created this Zoom, so I think I have to.
You know how to do that?
Not at the moment, like, because I have to
Yeah.
go back to the settings and all, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I will figure it out. But did you oh yeah, it's on recording. So yeah, maybe we can start because it's already 6:07. Can we I think it's good to have like a very quick check-in and introduction, even though everybody knows each other. I can start. My name is Asha Shokin, and I'm the director of nuclearban.us, currently based in Washington, D.C. Pope Christian, you're next in my screen.
Hi, everyone. I am Christian Shimanu. I'm the Policy and Advocacy Coordinator of the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation, and I am based in New York City. I'll pass the floor to Alice.
Hi, I'm Alice Slater. I'm in New York City, and I am the United Nations representative of the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation, and I'm on the board of World Beyond War, among 20,000 other things. And I'll say Cheryl Spencer.
Good afternoon, everyone. Cheryl Spencer speaking to you from Palo Alto, California. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom Disarm Committee. And I will be putting in the chat a webinar that I am helped to organize for tomorrow. It's a 5-hour long webinar. My session is the last hour and a quarter. It's honoring the 100th birthday of Andrei Sakharov, who was the designer of the Soviet thermonuclear bomb, but later became a human rights activist, won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1975, was exiled to Gorky by the Soviets, was finally let free by Gorbachev. Anyway, we're honoring with a webinar with many different types of speakers. The first 2 sessions are all physics talks, but applicable for the public. And then there'll be a talk about arms control, where you will see people like Susan Eisenhower and Dick Garwin talking, who've been long associated with arms control. And then you will have me talking to Sakharov's granddaughter and stepdaughter, and some Russian scientists who have nothing good to say about Russia at the moment. So we have 561 registrants so far. We have room for 1,000. This is the American Physical Society that's doing this. And so I'll put the link in the chat where you can go and then register. And once you're registered, you'll get a link, and then you can go in, but not have to listen to everything. So I'm on at like 20 to 3 Eastern time tomorrow with my session on human rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Cheryl.
Oh, yes, Cathy, next.
Hi, I'm Cathy Morrison from Westwood, Massachusetts. I'm a relatively new member of Mass Peace Action. I'm very concerned about the risk of nuclear catastrophe and learning as much as I can.
Who is next? I think Ellen hasn't introduced, right?
Okay, I'm Ellen Thomas. I'm with Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, and co-chair with Cheryl, and also with Proposition 1 campaign, and friends with a lot of people you all know.
John, I think, I miss Ward because you are in the next in my screen.
I'm Ward Wilson, and I'm just a guy. I pick Bruce Shea, if Bruce is there.
Hey everyone, Bruce Shea here. I work with Ellen and Cheryl in Women's International League for Peace and Freedom.
And the only person left is, I think, John.
John got it.
Yeah. John, can you hear us?
Joan, did you step away?
It looks like. Yeah.
Later.
No, I did not. I'm trying to send the link, the accurate link for this because I couldn't get in because it said it was nuclear ban and I couldn't get in with the link. And so I'm sending the link for this one to other people, but I was muted and not showing myself. I'm very glad to be here, but I am going to finish sending this because there are probably other people who would like to join the 9 of us who are already here. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. I think we have like a meeting agenda that I just posted in this chat. You can all see it. So before, I think we all know that, like Representative Norton has introduced the new bill. There is no change in the text, only the year has changed. There has been a lot of lobbying going on to get more support for the bill. As of now, like 4 members have, like representatives have signed. I need to go and look. I can share the screen, so it's easier. Oh, I have some trouble with my Excel. I don't know why. Oh, gosh. That's
All right, well,
I think you need have it open already on the screen and then screen share.
oh yeah, here it goes. I think that makes it easier. Okay.
I didn't know.
how are you? Very good.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So we have currently Jim McCowan, Barbara Lee, then who else? Ellen Omar. Yeah, 4 members have already signed. 4 members are already co-sponsoring, and we have a very good news today from Alice. Alice, do you want to talk about it?
Well, I got an email. I was emailing her legislative aide. I had called all week and they never called back, so I wrote a letter which I sent to our list. I thought maybe it would help other people what kind of letter to send. And he wrote back and said, we're thinking about it. And then Asha just heard from Eleanor Holmes Norton that Carolyn Maloney did sign. She had been the sponsor on the first one, and she, Norton's office told her that they signed. They didn't tell me yet that they signed, but I guess they will. So anyway, this is good. So it wasn't a hard thing to ask for. And I had gotten her originally on the pledge, the parliamentary pledge that ICANN has. I went to a local town meeting because she's my congresswoman. So if your member of Congress is holding any kind of town meeting, and now they're doing them virtually also. Once I spoke to her on a virtual meeting. That's a good place to try to get your congressperson to sign on.
So with that, like by tomorrow, there will be 5 co-sponsors. So one more representative is added to that list. But today's meeting is more about to discuss about building how to strategize about how to build more support for the Norton's bill. And I think it's good to discuss more about that. Who are the potential representatives or with whom we can kind of lobby to get more support. So any thoughts and ideas?
It's that we have to say in our network, whoever our congressperson is, we should be going to them, because when they hear from constituents, they're much more likely to listen. So we should keep increasing our network so that we're covering everybody in Congress.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think that if we can identify maybe some youth activists who can do outreach, that would be really great, because the congressional reps all love to hear from young people. I'm very receptive to them.
I mean, look, I sent an email today and they called Norton's office and signed on. Because I'm a constituent.
Yeah.
Seth?
Seth, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really great. I think it's a pretty clear to my mind, like action plan in terms of who we reach out to. And of course, yes, it's best coming from constituents, but it doesn't need to be, especially when we're speaking on behalf of our organizations. And it seems like the roadmap is, number one, all the people that have sponsored the bill in the last session. We were making that, and Carolyn Maloney did. So that's you know, it seems like these are the low-hanging fruit. Number two, the other pledge. There's only a few that didn't, but the other ICANN pledge members that didn't co-sponsor should do so. Actually, that should be a equal set. People who have co-sponsored the legislation and people who have signed the pledge, and anyone that hasn't should be easy to get to do the other. Then I think, and I mentioned this to you also, Asha, but I'll just put it to others too, because it seems like the rest of our roadmap is also quite clear. It seems to me that the squad is still some of our best bets. And, you know, we have Omar and Talib. So there's just 4 others, and, you know, they're a powerful group and they are very aligned with us. So they should be easy, and maybe Omar and Talib can help us with them. After that, I think if I can keep going, I think, you know, obviously a senator would be enormous for our effort. I mean, this is not for co-sponsoring Norton's bill. Obviously, they can't do that. They could introduce a companion bill, but that seems like a long shot.
But we do want companion bills, don't we?
Yeah, of course. I think that's a heavy lift for us, because, you know, to be frank, among us, I think I can say, you know, nobody considers Norton's bill a something that's actually going somewhere, right? So this is more of our way of advocacy. Alice, I'm just saying this to among us. Obviously, I would never say that publicly. You know?
I wouldn't say it among us either, because the whole landscape has changed.
I hope you're right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I think it's a new time.
I hope you're right, and I'm just saying that, you know, if we should try, you know, obviously, and then the things may change once we get, you know, a critical mass of co-signers. But anyway, I was thinking, you know, in terms of senators, then like, I mean, I've met several times with Bernie's people, and it's not propitious, but we should keep trying, and there's maybe new, in terms of new senators, like, you know, Ossoff or Warnock, you know, these might be good opportunities for us that we haven't explored. And then I think this newly formed House Defense Spending Reduction Caucus, some overlap there too with those that I mentioned, but that's like obviously aligned with this. And I should say that ICANN is about to launch a new spending report, 2020 spending report, that's, I think, going to be really great and a really great tool for us to use. We've done these in the past, but the one that we're doing this year is like also quite focused on what private entities are getting from and giving to different senators and representatives, and I think will really be something we can launch and also share with people who are, you know, representatives that are they could use this. They mentioned this there's a lot of great research in there, and it really ties nicely with this work. So anyway, and the House Defense Spending Reduction Caucus, this is like, you know, very clearly we're aligned with them. That's, you know, I think 13 people or so, and that are representatives, and among them, like 5 or 6 of them have signed already the pledge. Jayapal, Khanna, Lee, McGovern, Tlaib. And also it was created by Lee and McGovern, so maybe they can help us corral the others. And then finally, although there's a lot of overlap, but the rest of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, you know, I mean, Asha, before you, Timon had set up some meetings with them, and Beatrice had made a presentation to them, and not a lot of, signers came through, but Jayapal is now the chair of the Progressive Caucus, and she's a signer, so of the pledge. So I think those are, for me, that's what I keep thinking is our roadmap.
Yeah, I think I think to understand it very clearly, I mean, you send me an email about like the caucus, the list of people in the caucus and the other ones. So I can put all those one in the Excel sheet that I just shared with you all. So we have a complete list. But the other thing is that I think that this one will come under the next agenda, but still, we said by somebody, like, it's when a constituent, a person from their constituency goes to them, they will be much more, they will respond in a good way. So how about we having, like at least one or two supporters or campaigners from each state, identifying campaigners from each state, so we can coordinate with them as well. Like, what are all of your opinion about that?
I think the best way to do that, we all have big membership lists.
Mm-hmm.
To write to all our members in the United States and say that our group is participating in this new coalition to get this through the Congress, and to ask them if they would contact their own congressperson and get back to us, and like try to get it out at the grassroots. I mean, we can do our lobbying with the big shots. Frankly, I don't think there's one senator that would go our way. I mean, they're all talking no first use and, cutting all this missiles. Nobody's talking nuclear abolition. I mean, Ellen was doing it in the House, and other people are supporting her. And I mean, the best peace guy we ever had, the Democrats redistricted him and got rid of him, Dennis Kucinich, after he ran for president. He was so totally dependable on every one of our issues. Anyway. But, we should, whatever influence we have with the Progressive Caucus, with the defense, they call it defense cuts, right? They don't even say military cuts, they say defense cuts. Anyway, it's time to really get this message out in a whole new way and not buy into everybody else's stuff, and get our guys to say how dangerous it is now, and we've got to move our own Congress. They keep saying what Korea's doing, what Iran's not doing. What about what we're not doing? Turn it around and start changing this conversation. This is the time.
Yeah. Oh, Ellen, I think I see your hand up.
Yeah, I had to miss a little bit at the beginning. I'm not sure that I'm not repeating something. We and Wilf are working on a campaign for calling, and we're calling the folks that are, as suggested, the progressive and defense reductions, spending reduction caucuses. And I think it's a good idea also to add the I Can Pledge folks. But we want to get as many people calling as possible, as quickly as possible to, that's one thing I wanted to say. And another thing is that I'm involved with several groups, and I'm trying to pull all of us together. And I'm wondering if there's some way to get some kind of a coalition call because we're all talking about doing the same thing and we're all doing it separately.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons for, this meeting itself. Like, there are many organizations doing the same thing, but it's good to have like a coalition where we can all coordinate our work and kind of like, that will help us in getting more support. So I think, yeah, that's the reason, like, why we have this meeting, to strategize about coordination and having this coalition for a stronger, building the support. Yeah. Anybody? I mean, I know, like, today we had like, as as a result of Ellie's writing to Melanie, she agreed to co-sponsor. Similarly, Ward has been working on Jan, and do we have any update about that one?
I haven't heard anything. I got in touch with 25 people in her congressional district and encouraged them to contact her either by phone or to write. And I'm going to follow up with those people and try to generate some constituent response. I think what her staffer said is that she didn't like to sign on to third-party group initiatives, which means she ought to be better disposed to sign on to the Norton bill. But I'm hopeful that we can get her to do both. So we'll see.
Can I
Yeah.
can I say something?
Yeah.
So Asha, you've been in 2 other meetings with me where I have explained that Wilf is already starting this phone campaign.
Yeah.
We already have a more extensive Excel sheet than you do. We've identified 45 representatives that we think we should target with phone calls. We've learned that phone calls are more effective than emails. So we thought we'd try the phone calls. I have, from those 2 meetings, 2 of the groups that came out of the EIF activity on January the 22nd. Out of those, I have 4 different groups who want to get our materials, which is a script saying exactly what you have to say, background information on the 2 bills. So we decided the 2227, which would stop the new missiles being designed and made to fill in the silos in the middle of America. So, and the 2850 are the 2 bills we want to concentrate on, getting co-sponsors. So I already have, Ellen Jeckard from the Veterans for Peace, their nuclear abolition working group, are ready to send to do the phoning. So I was, I see the same names here. So some of you already heard my spiel on that, and I've put in the chat some of our basic information. And so Ellen has taken a spreadsheet, and so we don't only have who's sponsored what or who we think should sponsor what, but we'll actually have their contact information in one of the columns to make it really easy. And then we were told identifying yourself with an organization was a good idea. Somebody told us the other day about, they kept asking her, well, who are you with? And she didn't want to tell them, but in fact, they were more impressed. If you can say you're with a nationwide organization, then they realize that there's a whole lot of people behind you. So our script calls for each person to say which organization they're calling from. So anyway, if you would like to, I'll put my email address in the chat again. And if you have an organization with members who have a bit of free time in the evening, just for leaving a phone message is a good idea, we're told, because they count how many phone messages do they get on what topics. And so we need to get, 30 or 40 people calling. If it happens to be your own congressperson, that's well and good, but by and large, most of our constituents are not in these people's districts. So, and so yes, Margaret.
Okay, does that mean that we should just probably, on a practical note, jettison guide number 12 that we have for the Call for Peace campaign?
No, I mean, people can still write letters, but this is a new campaign. We have a phone calling campaign.
I knew that. So, I was just wondering if we're trying to get people to volunteer their time. I'm just wondering, they don't have that much, so maybe we should go with the calls instead of the letters, in lieu of the letters if necessary.
Yeah, Margaret's talking about another wealth campaign we've had where we've provided sample letters for writing to your congressperson about particular bills. Anyway, but we've learned that phone calls are more effective. So we're trying to do it in a short space of time. So a lot of calls come in in the same time frame, because it's all a numbers game. We're trying to boost some numbers on somebody's tally that they do every day, and that helps them focus their reps' attention. So
Okay.
please, if you have an organization who would like to do this, send me an email, and we're almost finished with the script and the list of calling people to be called. We're trying to make it really easy. Thank you. I'm putting my email now.
Thank you, Cheryl. And I think that's going to help us in building the momentum and kind of like, and this campaign is for two weeks, right? If I can understand correctly.
Well, we said 2 weeks, meaning 2 weeks from when we actually get the materials out, and so yes, hopefully in the next 2 days. Also, Alice mentioned, going to we have a system in WOLF called the e-alerts. And so our e-alerts go to thousands of people, okay, thousands of members and hangers on. So we will be sending an e-alert out shortly with all this information to get WOLF members to call. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and even though like this, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said thank you. Go ahead.
I think Alice has her hand raised.
I don't know. Well, I have a couple of questions. You have a terrific thing going at WOLF. We have our little list that you did, Asha.
Yeah.
I'm with World Beyond War. We have tens of thousands of people probably in America, How do we, I can't figure out how do we get the thing that we want to go out to everybody, and who's making that? Or do we just pick up WOLF's action alert, or does World Beyond War do their own? I mean, is there a way, or should we bother? Or should we just, and I don't see how we coordinate. And then there's also the EIF group, Ralph Hutchinson. They're a terrific group doing this,
Well, I spoke with them earlier this week, the 2 legislators and localities and the policy advocacy. That's how I got these 4 people from other organizations who've agreed to do this campaign, because I spoke to both those groups. So, but I think, you're on the board of World Beyond War.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how much power you have to get them.
When it comes to nuclear, they do whatever I tell. No, I mean, I have, I know so much about nuclear. So when I say this is what I think we should do, they'll do it. But I don't know what it is we're going to do. Like, do I tell them, let's just promote the WOLF list? Are we going to have our own list? Or do we, World Beyond War do their own, That's what I'm trying to figure out, how we coordinate, or if we have to.
Can we create a coalition? I'm working with Veterans for Peace. And World Beyond War does fabulous stuff. When David Swanson gets his act behind it, then it skyrockets. And if you can somehow win David over,
we have David, and Code Pink, we have them. I mean,
yeah, but we need to have some kind of a separate coalition that we all join, sort of like ICANN, something which is US focused, where we're interconnected and we have a single message that we get out. One at a time. It doesn't have to be just,
Be hard. Well, isn't this the campaign, US nuclear ban? Isn't this this is the American ICANN campaign, no?
Yeah, nuclear ban US, yeah. So if we could do it under that rubric, yes.
I see Seth's hand up.
Can't hear you, Seth.
I was just going to respond to this line of thinking, which with my thoughts, which are that since we are so aligned on this call, like in this like, it's not like we have to be so careful around crafting our language. It's like we want groups to co-sponsor. We're calling for the co-sponsors of the Norton bill. We're calling for signers of the parliamentary pledge. I mean, you know, as Wilf is adding also, and I'm sure we all support, you know, HR-2850 as well. But, you know, my take would be, Alice, that World Beyond War you could just run with that, you know, and have, like, it's a pretty simple call that we want people to call that. And we don't necessarily need to like keep track of like, okay, who's calling who from where, because duplicating our efforts in this space is not, in this context, not a problem. You know, it's not like one of these campaigns
Well,
where
actually, the more we duplicate, the more we hear.
right, it's got to be helpful, right? So to my mind, it's like, I think it's not one of these things that we have to like really strategize, like, okay, don't go this way or this person. I'd say just go for it. And personally, and Asha, to the extent that Nuclear Ban US wants to give a call that others can amplify, or if we want to amplify the script that Wilf gives us, I mean, I think it's all good, you know, where it's a really easy kind of strategy we're putting together here, or straightforward strategy. I don't think it's easy in the sense that I think, of course, we're going to have, you know, it's hard to get people to do this.
Yeah. And I think, you know, like voices from different places, and, you know, like we're pushing from different angle will really help us. I mean, the more people call, or the more people write, or the more people approach their representatives, will only help us getting more co-sponsors. One thing that I had, you know, I was going to have like a discussion. I had the email chat with the Norton's office, is kind of, you know, having a video of Norton, a 2-minute video of Norton, which we could use for, you know, our campaign, which hopefully we'll have it by next week or something. So I have another meeting with him on either tomorrow or Monday, to get a video so that we can use for our campaign. So it's about, I think, you know, like this meeting is particularly about the Norton's bill. And we're trying to bring more co-sponsors for the Norton's bill. So yeah, I mean, the more efforts, we'll have more co-sponsors.
But we should also include the parliamentary pledge.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is a second agenda. How can we, like, you know, I mean, everybody is working on it, but how can we have like a coordinated effort for the ICANN pledges and the Norton's bill? So these two, how can we coordinate it? Yes, Ellen, I see your hand. You're on mute.
I think the only problem might be that the Norton bill is a bill, it's legislation. The ICANN pledge is basically, yes, I agree with it. So we need to figure out a way to make people understand, yes, these are two separate ways of addressing the issue, and they need to be addressed in two separate ways. And how can we do that? I mean, and bring it together, you know, why should I sign both of them?
Because the ICANN pledge is an international effort going on in parliaments all over the world. And the Norton bill is specific to the United States to stop spending all that money and you know, join the treaty and use that money for economic conversion. We're talking about nuts and bolts in America. So they don't clash. You can say, join in with the whole world, all the parliamentarians all over the world, and here at home, this is what we got to do is the Norton bill. I don't see a difficulty with that.
I worry about trying to do them both in the same call. We've tried to make a short script that, you know, is short and pithy, that when an aide, because it's likely you won't actually find anybody or find their voicemail. So when the aide listens, they quickly get the idea, oh, this is somebody else calling about the 2850. I'll write that down. Whereas to me, you're going to somewhat muddy the waters by adding a pledge from a different organization.
I think that's true. So then what we should commit to is whichever they sign first, we go after them for the other one, you know, like, in other words, let's all go after them for the Norton thing. And once they do that, ask them to sign, have a follow-up for the international. Or if we're happen to be talking about the international and they sign it, then go after them for the Norton. Maybe you're right. It shouldn't be in one message, you know. let's go for Norton as our strategy now. And
Right. It's a simple thing. These Congress people understand the concept of co-sponsoring a bill. Right. You know,
that's true.
what does anybody else think? What do you think, Seth?
Yeah, sorry. I appreciate, Cheryl, that it's complicated to ask for both, or that it's tricky to ask for both. But I agree with Alice's first take, which was that these are really complementary. Of course, as ICANN, we're really pushing for the pledges to expand and it's an underutilized tool. I think we could work on crafting the language. I think that they are different, because for the reason Alice said, also because the ICANN pledge is more specifically a call to sign and ratify the treaty, whereas the Norton bill presents it, as I recall, as an alternative option, and it's basically like the US should sign the treaty or enter into something else that's like going to bring about. So there are distinctions that we could parse. I don't mean to say that one is better or more useful. They're both great, and we should be asking for both, but I think one is basically the other thing about the ICANN pledge is sort of a broader call that they're saying they intend to work toward the U.S. entering into the TPNW in various other ways too, not just through this bill necessarily. So I would support doing both, even though I recognize that it's tricky, and I could certainly help weigh in on a script or something to help deal with that. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. And I see Watt's hand up.
From my point of view, I think it's a political reality that the TPNW is the force that has changed the political calculus of a lot of these people. It's what has brought the issue to the fore. And so I think that's one reason why it's important to press the TPNW, the pledge. That's all.
Doesn't Norton's bill talk about the TPNW right up front?
Yes, it does.
So I think we should do both and do it however, it's comfortable. Do you know what I'm saying? Like maybe you can have it in one ask, Cheryl. I don't know.
Yeah, and one thing, like whoever is co-sponsoring now is all all of them were the ICANN pledge signatories. So I think, it's easier to get ICANN pledge signed by them, and by that way we are kind of, influencing them to sign the Norton's bills. I don't know, I'm still kind
That's a good point. Everyone who's done one has basically done the other.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Not a big deal.
Well, not everybody who's done one has done the other, because the bill is a bill and it's legislation and it leads to making a law, whereas the ICANN pledge is a statement of purpose.
No, sorry. What I mean is that there's overlap. There's a lot of overlap between the co-sponsors and the signers of the pledge.
Oh yeah.
I have a comment about this. One is something that they're used to and they can sign on, and it's recorded in the congressional information online, et cetera, et cetera. The pledge is something that is important and is used in a different way. Thank you.
Yes, Alice.
I'm wondering, I know we'll figure this out, but do we have anybody in the Senate that would either sign the pledge or or put in a companion bill? Is there anybody in the Senate? Do we have one good person in the Senate?
What I would have thought Markey.
No. He's an incrementalist.
He's arms control. Forget about it.
Okay, sorry.
Go after Bernie.
Bernie we should go after, right?
And I'm a Vermonter, so I should be the one to do it.
That's great, Robin. And tell him we have Eleanor Holmes Norton, we want to make Washington, D.C. a state so we get more votes, and that he should support her that way,
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah, connection there.
And you've got quite your Vermont Wilf branch is quite large, right? So you've actually got other people who could also phone Bernie, right, Robin?
Maybe a few, yeah.
It's a numbers game. It's a getting their attention through there being more than one person bringing it up.
Is Ben Cohn in Vermont?
Technically, his home is here, but he's completely mystified any way to communicate with him. There's no.
Because I saw he's giving something to World Beyond War. I told him to go after him because he used to do all that military spending stuff. And I'm wondering if he could sit down and beat Bernie's head into the ground.
Ben who?
Ben Cohn from Ben and Jerry's Ice Cream.
Oh.
I gotta show you this. I have it at my desk. He did this pen where you pulled it down, and this was U.S. military spending compared to everybody else. This is like global military. I mean, he was so good on the military, you know, fighting the military. So,
And that pen is older than it looks.
it's probably from 1980 something.
Yeah.
But
Well, he's very hot on defund the police now. I've been noticing ads. He's been putting his money there also.
Well, maybe we could. That would be great if we try to. I'll see if I can track him down through World Beyond War, because he said that his foundation is looking at our group.
Tell me again, how do you spell his last name?
Cohn, C-O-H-E-N, Ben.
Thank you.
And Ben and Jerry's Ice Cream. That was his big thing. They
Yeah.
made
If you get his phone number or email, let me know, and I will harass him also.
He has a foundation, so maybe through that.
That's how
I'll see what I can find.
Yeah, I see that I do not have, like, Robin, your email ID, Bruce and Lynn's email ID. I think I do not have it. Great if you can put your email ID in the chat box. So we can I can include you in that the meeting notes when I
Yeah,
send.
everybody should be put ourselves in there. Yeah.
Right. So we copied, what we did was we forwarded your email link to some of these people, Asha. That's why they've come on.
They're Wilfers.
But thank you so much for doing that, so that we can, expand this group and have a joint effort.
Yeah.
Right, so Lynn Sableman, who I see down there, is also a Wilfer.
Mm-hmm.
Lynn, do you have a group who would join in on a phone campaign besides Wilf?
Besides Wilf? No, I really don't. Sorry.
Okay, fine. No, we'll get you via Wilf. Some people are members of more than one group, and so we're trying to, engage Veterans Without Peace and Peace Action. Peace Action is an enormous organization. Who here is from Peace Action?
All of us.
Yeah, one way or another.
Right. So
yeah.
I haven't got anybody actually signed up with me yet on that.
They're more conservative than us. But maybe they're coming. I don't know.
Several people have recommended the Rotary Club.
They're taking stuff on. They are now.
Yeah.
Well, that is to actually go and give them talks. First, we have to educate them, right? So we give them webinars.
Well, some of them are already educated. Depends on where they are.
They have a nuclear project now.
I'm one of the strategy committee member of that Rotary Action Group for nuclear weapon education subcommittee. So we have been trying this for the last 2 years. And there are a lot of, I can see positive changes. So I would say I see positive changes.
So could some of them help you with congressional outreach?
Not like at the moment, of course, like earlier they were like, it's a political topic, so we cannot talk in the clubs. Now it has changed. You can talk, but you have to be very careful. But the thing is that, what we are trying to do is educate Rotarians around the world about nuclear weapon issues and kind of trying to bring the Rotary president, the upcoming president, because Rotary is a big organization. So trying to bring the Rotary president and change the narrative or the tone at the Rotary international level.
Excellent.
Yeah, exactly. I think we are kind of like, we only have like 9 more minutes to make sure that, like we are keeping the time. Think the last, we have already discussed about the strategies to coordinate. I think the one of the thing is kind of like including more people in this group and kind of like, coordinate our efforts. Is there any other suggestions other than that one?
If we set up a time that we meet regularly, then we can get the word out to people about it and they can start looking at putting it into their schedule.
Sure. When do you all suggest that time? Like, when do you, because if I understand correctly, again, the campaign, the phone campaigning is for 2 weeks, but then even after 2 weeks, we can still kind of like, influence, because my understanding from Norton's office is that it will take a little while to get this bill, because the committee has to submit a report, and then until that time they can add the co-sponsors, and it will take a little while. I think more than 6 months or something. I will confirm it and let you know how much time do we have to add more co-sponsors.
Well, they're happening. We got Mark Pocan on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, the
go through a process where it actually gets submitted or goes to the committee, or they have things that you do with it. They have to get sponsored. So
exactly.
Right. The 2 weeks was just an idea to get a lot of people calling within 2 weeks. If you spread them out, then they're not so noticeable. So we're trying to get noticed, and that was how we came down to a 2-week phone campaign. But of course, yes, we should keep on going.
We can do another 2-week campaign.
Right.
I would appreciate what your like a copy of what's going on, and then I'll give it to the World Beyond War board, and they can either use it that way or adopt it, but start getting it out to more people.
Okay.
And if any of you have other groups that can.
So Christian, your Nuclear Age Peace Foundation, do you have members?
We do have members, and then we also, I can talk to Sandy Jones, who's the interim president, about this, because we're very excited about the Holmes Norton bill. And then I can also send to Asha a list of the interns and their districts they belong to.
Great.
Thank you. That's really helpful. And the other thing is that as you said now, like, when do you think we should regularly, which day, or is it every week or every 2 weeks? I think for at least for the next couple of weeks, it will be good to meet every week. What do you all think about it?
I'm fine with this time.
Okay. What about others?
I'm okay. Yeah.
All right.
So we finalize the same time?
Thursdays at
6 p.m. 6 to 7 p.m.
Are we going to use the same link?
Yes, I will put it as a recurring Zoom link. Yeah.
Okay, and it's going to be this one. Could you put it in the chat again? So
I think for that one, I have to,
it's
like when I created it has to be recurring, right? Yeah. So and one another thing is that, like there is a phone campaigning going on. I'm trying to, as I told you earlier, I'm trying to get a video. So maybe we can do a social media takeover kind of for the next couple of weeks.
Yes.
By all the organization. I don't know whether that is possible. Like once we get the video.
Oh, yeah, no,
we'll try to get it out, if they approve it.
So the other thing I've been doing for WOLF is I actually write sample tweets for them, so they don't have to think it themselves. I make sure it's got the right number of characters and the right hashtags, and then we try to get some of our members who do tweets to tweet it, but having a video to go with it, we're told you need something visual as well as the words. Now my situation is on next Tuesday, I fly to Kauai, Hawaii and I'll be gone for 10 days. So I will have my laptop. I will be able to do emails like in the evening, but to this time next week, I hope to be on a catamaran off the Nepali coast.
Enjoy.
But I will.
Email list, or we just have a long list of names? Do we have an email list? Or we just send out the list?
Whose list? Who are you asking, Asha?
Yes, Asha. Does Nuclear Ban US have an email list?
Yeah, we do have a list, so I can pull that out.
It's like a listserv, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yes, it's a listserv. Yeah. Christian, I see your hand up. So.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't lower it.
We forget.
I'm not good with like raising hand, lowering hand virtually. I apologize.
Okay.
So is this the listserv that you use for Nuclear Ban US, the whole organization, and it gets a lot of emails? And if so, do we want to set up a separate list for this campaign?
I think it's better to set up a separate email for this campaign. So what like it may be good to have like we identify people from each state, so that like we have efforts at the state level, and then we all meet together at the national level. I mean, I wouldn't call it as national level, but we all meet together.
Does somebody, do you know how to make a listserv that's for this campaign?
like strategy, US Ban strategy group or something,
Yeah, I do not know about it, but I can research about it and get help from somebody else and do it.
And
Well,
then
different organization. WILF uses a particular organization that helps us do it. So Ellen, how is it set up already, Asha? Did Vicky Ellison set up the listserv that Nuclear Ban has?
So we have a listserv for the whole listserv, but I can just try to create a separate listserv for this particular effort, and
so maybe it could be strategy at Nuclear Ban US or something like that.
Yeah.
Or strategy Nuclear Ban.
US Nuclear Ban.
Yeah, whatever.
Right. Well, there are two things. One is just a plain distribution list, and the other is a listserv. And the listserv works slightly differently. You can only write to the listserv if you're on it, for example. So I don't know which way you were going to a more complicated listserv, or did you just want a distribution list?
I think a distribution list should work.
Efficient,
better,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, but if it gets too long, like right now, you got about 20 names on it, right?
Yeah, I mean, exactly the same way we did it for the building support for building political support for the nuclear ban, the event, the April 24th. So there were 70 organizations, and we had like, a distribution list where all the 70 organizations, I mean, representatives from the 70 organizations were getting emails, updates about everything that's happening, like with respect to that particular event. So
but I didn't see the 70 names. When I got it, I only saw my own name. So that means it's a proper listserv.
So that's like kind of, I don't know whether it can be called as, because it goes as